Hey, what's up? I'm Babi Muloy. You're watching Joburg Today.
There are criminal elements at play in the invasion and illegal occupation of land in Johannesburg. Over the weekend and on Monday morning, police were called in to monitor and to bring order back to the area of Protea Glen. Attempts were made to occupy land there illegally. We managed to pin down the MMC for housing in the city of Johannesburg, Mzobanzi Ntuli, and have a frank conversation with him about the housing crisis. First up, though, we hear from the EFF in Johannesburg.
It's not invasion, it's occupation. We can't call it invasion, it's occupation. The land is idling and the people are starving for space, a piece of land they can call home. They're starving for that, and the city in the previous financial year, they did not build a single house for the people of Johannesburg. They have a backlog that is over 300,000. And previously the city used to build 3,000 houses a year. With a backlog of 300,000, it means it's going to take the city just to address the current backlog over 100 years to address that backlog. So these occupation of land are as a result of people who have no place to stay, and the city is failing to address those challenges. It's failing to come with an effective plan on how to address the issue of houses and for the people who do not have some. So the EFF were clear. We have said as the EFF continuously through the president and the commander-in-chief that if you see a piece of land and you like it and you have no place to stay, take it, it's yours. We encourage our communities. They can't continue to stay like it's the Nazi concentration camps of Nazi Germany. No, it can't happen. And when there's a lot of idling land, that is nothing. We propose to the DA and its coalition partners that come up with a program of service and sites. Put bulk infrastructure, put all the necessary services and allocate stand to people. Some of these people will be able to build houses for themselves. They're still wondering as we speak now. So it's a result. This land occupation is a result of the failures of the DA and its coalition partner. And this is the failures that they found also, which the ANC failed to address. And they continue with the exact ANC failures. So it's a result of a government that is failing to provide the basic of services to the people.
MMC Ntuli, let's begin by unpacking what happened on Monday at Protea Glen. In fact, there are land invasions taking place all over in Johannesburg at the moment. This is a big challenge, I'm assuming. But what are the criminal elements, or what were the criminal elements at play in Protea Glen on Monday?
You know, in most of the time I used to call our fellow Johannesburg resident to refrain from participating in those activities, because in most cases you find people buying or selling stands to certain individuals, using the opportunity because they know people are desperate for accommodation. They might end up buying from you while you know very well that you are not owning, but you're receiving money on behalf of the owner of the property. Owners of the properties in this case is the government. So government stands cannot be sold to individuals, and no one is mandated by the government to do that in the community. So during this land occupation, illegal land occupation, we have people who are using that opportunity to engage on criminal activities, because to me that is criminality. You can't take money from the people using that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So this is what happened in Protea Glen. We did see reporters saying that people were showing them documents, unofficial documents that stated that we have a claim to this piece of land.
Yeah, that is correct. We are also waiting our team from the ground to come and give us that evidence, because they have evidence of that nature where people were claiming that they paid a certain amount of money to get a piece of land or a stand. But we want to know exactly what happened and who are those people. We want to implement a program where we will start investigation. If there are any one of us, if I'm referring to us officials, if any one of our officials are involved, we will deal with that. But even if a certain individual from the community, if that individual is part and parcel of what is happening, we will deal with that. Law will take its course.
Okay, I want to talk about what the EFF just said in that clip that played out. They call this land occupation. They say that it's not illegal because people have been waiting patiently for homes and for land in Johannesburg, and the leadership of this administration has essentially failed the people of Johannesburg. What are your comments on their take that people should go out and take the land if they don't have a place to live?
No, it is bad. It is bad. Let me put it in that way. It is bad. We all agreed, people of Johannesburg, people of South Africa are in need of land. But if it is all of us that we are going to wake up in the morning and go to occupy a certain piece of land, what is going to happen at the end of the day? So that is why I'm always saying to our communities, if there is land that is available, it's earmarked by the certain community, let that community engage us, because in some instances you find that the land is earmarked for a development, and we completed all our programs in terms of the development in that particular land. For example, the land that people invaded during the past weekend. You know that land is earmarked for the development. As the city, we gave it to a developer, Urban Dynamics, to deal with the development there. And we are expecting a 16,000 unit in that particular development, where people are going to benefit. But we cannot run away from the fact that another option is to give sites to communities. But even there, what system we are going to use when we are giving those sites is to apply the waiting list for communities where people applied for houses. Those people need to be given those sites according to when they applied.
Let me ask you a very honest question, MMC. Do you blame the people for being so upset? The poor people of the city that have been forgotten, as your administration call them, the forgotten people. They've been waiting for years, for decades, for homes to be delivered by the city of Johannesburg. You've inherited the problems of the ANC. The EFF in that clip says you don't appear to be doing anything about this because you're still sitting with the problem that you inherited from the ANC.
You know, people of Johannesburg gave ANC enough time. If the ANC failed in that enough time, why they did not give us enough time to do what we are expected to do? Because there is a program on the table that we want to implement, but we have no enough time. As you see, people, what they are doing. We are starting circling in the government, looking at all what avenues are available for us to address the challenges facing our communities. But people are not giving us enough time. As you see, people are invading land all over in the city, and they didn't do this in the past 5 years.
What about the 300,000 backlog the EFF is referring to? Is that correct? Is there 300,000 backlog? They say it will take over 100 years to actually rectify this backlog.
That is correct, but through our program of sites and service, we are going to address that, because if you provide sites to people, it's not that expensive as you going to build RTP houses, and you give those sites to people to address these housing backlogs.
I mean, we've been hearing about the housing crisis. We also hear about the corruption involved in that long list of people waiting for houses to be allocated to them. How is that being dealt with, the issue of corruption?
Currently, we are finalizing our housing waiting list as a City of Johannesburg, but that waiting list is part and parcel of the broader waiting list. But we are specific in Johannesburg, trying to look at the people of Johannesburg. If there is a unit that is available today, at least we know exactly who's going to be number one in terms of getting that unit. But I do not want to run away from the fact that number of allegations against allocations are there, and as the department we are looking at it closely to ensure that those who are involved in any corruption during the allocation will be dealt with, and the officials are aware of what is our position as the administration.
Sure. Let's come back to what the EFF said about allegedly making some suggestions to the DA-led administration around dealing with the allocation of land to people who don't have homes. They suggested that you give them stands to build their own homes.
That is what we are doing currently, and they are aware. We normally used to brief them, although they are not part of administration, but they are in council. We are working with them. We normally used to tell them about how far we are in terms of that program. It is correct. That is what they suggested, to say why we not give stands to people. But our understanding is that you can't just give a site to someone with no services like sewer, water, electricity, all other things. But what we are doing right now, there are land that is available, and those lands are earmarked. We have budget that is available for that purpose, but people are not giving us time to service the land and allocate people accordingly. Sure. Because if you just pack stand and allocate people, what is the difference between the current informal settlements and that program that we are implementing?
Complex situation.
Complex situation. And if we are just allocating people as they are suggesting, it's correct, people are going to get those sites. But what it means in terms of the services, because there is no basic services in those sites.
Sure. So how much of time do you need?
No. Now what we are doing, we have budget that is available. The land is earmarked. We are only waiting the town planning, development planning department to approve those plannings in order for us to start putting in the basic services in those lands and start packing stands and allocate people. It's
Sure.
not a long process, but people are not giving us enough time.
Sure. That's reasonable. You've been in office for only nearly 2 years to date. MMC, in terms of the RDP homes that are lying empty, from what we heard in the past is that these homes are being guarded by the red ants, and as a result of that, the city is owing a lot of money. Why are these homes not handed over to people?
You know, when there is a change of administration, it's a problem. Houses were built, but beneficiaries were not identified. We are struggling with beneficiaries, and there are council resolution in terms of the areas where beneficiaries are supposed to come from. We are busy identifying those beneficiaries. At the same time, you have developments or projects where contracts were lapsed long time ago, and if you pay those people, you need to take it back to council processes and try to get approval before you pay those people, because you no longer having any contract with them. But at the end of the day, we want to allocate in those houses, and those houses in most cases are invaded by the people who are claiming that we waited for so long, but at the same time, they are not supposed to, because we have a list of beneficiaries in terms of the areas where council resolved previously.
Sure. Well, with all due respect, you are facing a massive challenge, but tell us about what you've achieved within the Department of Housing to date since taking office.
I'm happy to report about the finalization of housing waiting list. To us, that is a great achievement, because in most cases, you listen to people alleging about corruption being done during allocation processes. That is why, as the city, we came up and say, no. As we are coming in as new administration, we want to see people allocated according to when they registered. Are they qualifying? Because it's not assisting us to have people came to Johannesburg yesterday, but today they are getting houses, while there are people who still waited. They registered in 96, 97, but they are waiting up to today. If you look at the issue of title deeds, giving ownership to people, we are achieving very great there in terms of giving those ownership. You know, once you have a title deed, it says you are a legitimate person in terms of the property. Look at the formalization of informal settlement. We are electrifying informal settlement. Other people waited for 23 years, Slovo Park, next to Nicefield industrial properties there. We are going to electrify. We launched the electrification of that informal settlement. And people are happy about that. They see things are happening. So we are happy. In fact, things are happening. That is what we are doing as a housing department. I'm happy to report about those achievements.
Well, MMC, thank you so much. We're always happy to receive good news about what the department is doing, and we look forward to hearing more news in terms of resolving this issue.